Welcome to Macro Crest, where we focus on fundamentals or directional bias and then technicals for entries. And we had the month end on Friday, I think so. And then this new month, we're starting with this week. It's inflation data from Swiss on Monday. McClellan giving a speech. And then we have the Aussie interest rates, which we believe would be bullish. Um, the labor data from NZD, we're looking at it as kind of neutral to weak. And then finally, we also look into the BOC interest rate. Now, this would be they're not looking to cuts, but the sentiment is going to be what's going to drive the markets. And we have this labor data from CAT, which is market is pricing in weak. But let's just see how it goes. Inflation data and labor data from the US, we're not expecting anything from there. So going to the chart, what we see is quite simple. For the new month, you can see we have this bullish candle coming on. So and then we have this imbalance up here. So potentially we might see price head up to down up there. And then we are expecting this, there should be a pullback to this point. Yes, but this is a high, this is a high. We're expecting continuation. So this candle is bullish. Looking at the imbalance we've got is somewhere within this range. So if you go to your daily, this is what we're expecting. A pullback to within this area. There is no imbalance there. The only imbalance we've got is this. Go to your fast. Yep. So we should see an imbalance in this regard. This was what we expected last week and it played out very well. So this is the only zone we expect a movement to the upside by next week. So with this, we're bullish. Remember, but we're still bearish technically because this is our last range. So if we see a push and then we have this break, pullback, definitely shorten. Apart from that, we are more on this. And if that's the case, we'll be more focused on which dollar pay is weak to flow with this. Going to the UJ on the monthly time frame, look at this. Previous candle is massively bullish. There is no imbalance here on the monthly. So the next imbalance we've got is this area. Going to the weekly, there is the only imbalance we've got is here. Remember, this never mitigated this our demand. So what are we going to do about that? We look out for confirmation. We're still bullish here. So if we are still bullish, we expect continuation to the upside. If there's going to be a deeper pullback, it will be to this point and still continue. So what we've seen is that there is an imbalance here. Going to our daily, this is our daily demand, perfect demand. If we could see a push here, this would be fantastic. So that's what we're looking out for this week. Now internally on the 4 hours, we have this high range. So if this is a high, we can potentially see this to continue this range. That's what we've got for UJ. Now UCAD looks quite interesting, but it's conflicting. So what we've got on the monthly is a doji, and this is our imbalance area, which I marked. Going to the weekly, what I expect is there is a doji here. This doji is now the issue. Okay, so the doji is the issue. It's a bullish momentum candle anyways, but it's reacting from this grab of liquidity, which is I expected it to come to this point, but now this is the range I'm looking at. This is a range, right? This is a range. So if this is a range here, I expected it to continue this, but the issue here is that this was a range and it just got broken and did not close. Would I say close above this? So if that is the case, if we continue, it will be deeper. But with this is our other zone, so possibly we could see a push here before we see this deeper retracement. And the card is kind of strong, so I wouldn't bother too much. So what I'll be looking out for is there is this break of structure here or liquidity grab, whatever the case may be. So there will be change. If we could see a change here, then the shorts will be down to this point. Why? Remember, card we are anticipating weakness in the labor data. Now, internally on the 4 hours, let's take a look at the structure change. The structure change was here. So this is an internal leg. We anticipated that it should hold, but unfortunately, what I'm saying here is I'm expecting if there's going to be a break here, this should be what we'll be looking at on this. Now, finally, one of the beautiful ones, which I've been calling this for quite some time, using confirmation. So that's what we're looking at on the 3 month, on the monthly. Looking at these candles, you can see there's absolutely nothing here. The only thing we've got is this imbalance here. So we expect a push to that point somewhere on the weekly. Where is it? Is there a demand somewhere? No. This is this candle. It's a doji candle. You go to our daily. Now this is where we see an imbalance. Okay, so this is a bearish leg and we anticipate that it should continue down. But it can't just continue down, it has to push. So if this is this and this, we go to our lower time frame like the 4 hours and the 1 hour. And what have we got? We have this, we have this. So could this be a bearish leg on its own to pull back and then we short? Yes, so that's where I'll be looking out for a short within to be within that space. And where is our most important area? Is this area of supply. So that's what I'll be looking out for on GU is I think it's equivalently the same. Looking at it on the monthly is the same thing. And this is even clearer because we have this imbalance that has to be filled up. Okay, so it has to mitigate a weekly one and daily supply. Now we've got this imbalance, we have this. Now also looking at this on the 4 hour, on the daily, we can see that this is our range. And then if we could see a pullback from here, this would be a good shot. It's plain simple. So come Monday, Tuesday, we might see this, then we have a cut. And looking at the yen is actually weak, so I've got my yen strength, yen weakness on the board. Got my Aussie kind of strength. We have the USD strength, we have the CAD strength, we have Swiss strength, we have pound weakness and ZD weakness. So this is where I'm expecting it to head to on the Aussie yen. Now Aussie USD is not on my watch list. We have BTC, which I expect BTC to head down to 96 area. CAD yen should do the same thing as the UJ. We have the Euro CAD. I expect a pullback to short, but this is a long area. If we could see a short here, fine. But if not, then this is a range. This is a range. This is a range I see, and this is an internal range. So remember, this is broken. So the internal range is broken. This must be taken out as liquidity. So the best point we'll be expecting longs from would be this point. So if we see a bounce from this point, if we see a bounce from this point, we might see price heading to this supply, and then we might look for shorts up to this point. The Swiss, I'm seeing some weakness in the Swiss. Now this would be fantastic longs to short from this point on the Euro Swiss. I think that goes with the Aussie Swiss, which I'm not so clear on. I've been looking at shorts on this, but due to the fact that Aussie is still strong too, I don't know what to do with this. So I think I'll shut down the position because this is a bearish leg on its own. But also this is this, so we expected this. There is an imbalance here at this area, 54.89, and we are expecting that there should be potential shots from this, and it's not too clear. Going for the next, the Euro NZD. It has mitigated this point. I expect continuation to the upside. Going down, this is the only imbalance I'm saying. So on the daily, price is reacting from here, which is exactly in line with this range here. So if I could see a little push bullish candle, then we can take that to the upside before we start looking for short. Where it will break this point is where we're looking for our longs. The EU, EU. So I'll be expecting a push from here down here. This is exactly where I'll be looking for shots from. Why? Because this is our range, and it's still the range we are working with. If we see a little push, so we should walk that way. And we get into the pound, which if we look at this, there's an imbalance to the upside. For shorts on the weekly, there is this imbalance here. Now, what I'm seeing is the potential to long from here to this point. To the daily, this is the range. So I expect a change on a lower time frame to this point. So this is on my watch list. The G card is the same thing because it is on a demand already currently. Now this, remember, this is a higher time frame range, and now we had this other higher time frame range again. So this is the last point I expect it should hold. Now technically it should hold, but fundamentally the card is showing some strength. But what I like about this is the imbalance is high up here. So if we can look for longs to this point, and probably a short, but I would like to long higher. So let's just say, depending on how it unfolds, then the pound Swiss is showing some bullish momentum. On the monthly, there is an imbalance high up there. On weekly, note this range just got broken, so it should still continue very well. There is an imbalance at this other end, so that should be a continuation. Go to your daily. What we see is this range continuation. Can we call this a range? No. So this is a leg on its own. Okay, so if that's a leg on its own, then this is H4 continuation. If we see this is H4 continuation. So this is what we've got. And if you can have this, fine. But if you don't, just expect price to hit higher. And GJ is okay, but the price action is not clear, although it's still bullish. So I expect price to hit lower a little bit, just a little bit, to this line one more time, and then we can continue. So we might have something like this, because this GN, let's see what we've got on GN. Yeah, it's bullish, right? On the weekly, this is our range. So this range just began. If there's our range, the internal range is this. So is what are we expecting? I expect this to continue. Now what we have is a doji there on that time frame. So on the daily, this demand has been mitigated. There is a supply here. If we see this, it would make a whole lot of sense. But regardless, I'm bullish on this. Fundamentally, the pound is stronger than the NZD, but this price action is not my favorite. So I will see how it unfolds. But internally, this has just broken a lower time frame structure. So we can just look at push to this point, push from there. So let's see what we've got for NZD card. Monthly is bearish, weekly. Note this is the range we are working with. So everything we've got is internal. We have this internal. This was the range, internal range that grabbed liquidity. This is an internal range. So this low must be taken. But now we might have this push, then they continue again. But that's by the way. I hope you know the reason why it grabbed this liquidity is because this is external of this range, while this is internal of this range. So that's it. And so this Swiss is same thing I'm looking at. So I'm looking at short at this imbalance here. Going to the weekly. Is there a supply there? Just supply just above. So this is a bullish momentum to this point. Now this is the range we're working with. To be clear on the D1. Looking at this on the D1, what we've got is this is a range on its own, and this range did not mitigate this supply very clearly. Now this, can we call this the internal? Probably yes. So this is a range on its own. Now if we want to long to this point, what we'll be saying is we have to see a push before we start looking for short. So on the 4 hours, what we've got is internal range all going to the upside. So I expect this to be broken. Now if we see a break, then we can short to the down.